Well, welcome everybody. Today is October 25th. Oh my gosh, 2023. This is Daniel's Downloads. Let's talk libido. These statements, I always have to say this, made in this presentation are not meant to treat, cure, or diagnose disease. Now, like I like to do is I like to step back and review some of the things we've done in the past. And I need to share with you, this is a blessing I have from all of you, is I get text messages, phone calls, or emails of responses to some of the programs that we've talked about over the past year and a half. And a couple of months ago, I was trying to look up when, I can't remember when, we talked about adrenals. And I had received a text message from a doctor in New Mexico who said, Daniel, I have a patient who is a long hauler, and she went everywhere and wasn't getting results until I put her on ADB5 Plus, which is the adrenal formula. And she absolutely woke up. So we talked about the importance of that, adrenal, pituitary, thyroid axis in those couple of lectures. Another case I was told about last week as well was a chronic histamine responding patient. So we could call it a mast cell activation syndrome patient, couldn't break the cycle, did everything, and got on the ADB5 and has had a major improvement. So again, the story of adrenals. We are adrenally deficient, and it actually segues into this talk as well. The adrenals are hugely important to have the energy to do all that hormone production, a lot of the hormones. So let's dive into today's talk. We're going to go through the importance of some of the hormone components, and then we're going to go into the importance of the brain component of libido. Now, as we've always said, these could be 8-hour, 2-day talks, but I'm giving you the synopsis of things to think about to help your patients. So let's go from the perspective of, we've already dialed in their hormones because there's a lot of wonderful doctors listening in who do hormonal replacement therapy. You already have them on hormonal replacement therapy, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, whatever it may be. And now let's make it work better. So I call this the hormone connection, and I'm going to put a song in your head that has been in my head now for several days. If you remember the Rainbow Connection by Kermit the Frog, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. So if you want to punish yourself today, go to YouTube and look up the Rainbow Connection by Kermit, and you will see what's been buzzing through my head for days on the hormone connection. So I've had the luxury of working with this amazing doctor, Dr. Lindsay Berkson. And I have traveled a lot in the past month. Jacqueline knows that. I've not been home much. And I was in Chicago at A4M, and it was a bioidentical hormone replacement conference. We had Lindsay Berkson there. And then she was here in Phoenix just last weekend, and I worked with her. And Lindsay has written 21 books. If you look at this amazing woman, she's almost 75 years old. And she's kind of the queen in the industry of hormone replacement therapy. We've talked about her in the past and her products in the past. But now that I've had time to really sit with her in our booth, in our conferences, and hear her speak, we have to refresh this. We have to refresh what she's doing. So she came to Biotics Research and said, guys, I'd like you to make a couple products for me. So the importance of what we're talking about is quality over quantity. Many of us, and I'll give a simple analogy. A male comes into the doctor, says, and the doctor says, let's put you on some testosterone therapy. They do a little testosterone. Feel great for a month, 2 months. Not feeling so good. All right, let's add in more. There's quantity. But we're going to talk about quality of function. So we need to consider the quality. Hormone receptor function is the key to overall hormonal health. So Lindsay, look her up. I'm going to send you at the end of today's class. I'm going to really work on this today, is a link to her website. I'm going to try to send you her 2-minute video on her products, because I am getting so much wonderful feedback from practitioners like you out there. The subjective response. I have a doctor literally 1.5 miles up the road from my house here who uses exclusively Dr. Berkson's products. And every patient she puts on hormone replacement therapy gets these products. And I said, doctor, what are you doing? She goes, Daniel, I'm getting better results. Simple as that. So we have at our house this new book by Dr. Berkson, the 10-Day Sex Hormone Detox Program, Sexy Brain. I love this title. How Sizzling Intimacy and Balanced Hormones Prevent Alzheimer's, Cancer, Depression, and Divorce. Wonderful book. And I'm actually going to read you a little bit out of that book today because Lindsay's got this dialed in. She sent me this slide and said I could share this slide. Think of this. Target tissue for receptors. Think of receptors. We're going to show you receptor. Estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all your immune cells, the brain. She sits up there and lectures at, I think she's 75 in 2 weeks. She lectured at all these conferences, traveled a ton. And she goes, look, I'm not fighting for words because there are hormone receptors in the brain, the heart, the gut, the esophagus. She was talking about that. She goes, you hear that crackly voice as we age? Because we don't have our hormones balanced correctly. So all of this comes into play in Let's Talk Libido. So we have receptor detox and hormone balance and protect. This is the first component of making it all better. So these formulas are designed to improve hormone receptor functionality. You have a receptor, you have a hormone. We're going to show you what blocks that and why things don't work well and why we're talking about quality versus quantity. Protect and maintain balance. I'm going to show you an amazing slide on maintaining balance of hormones. So look at these competitive inhibitors into that receptor site. Now, as we're talking receptor sites, this is not just a testosterone receptor site, not just estrogen, not just progesterone. Other factors like insulin, thyroid, those receptor sites as well as we're having this discussion, because this is all a component of what we're talking about today. So toxins like endocrine disrupting chemicals, halides, heavy metals, all blocking that receptor function in any of these cases. The vulnerable aging population, and then receptor dysfunction, decreased signaling, and hormone dysregulation. So here's your receptor on the screen. So it kind of looks a little opening like Pac-Man mouth. You have your ligand coming in, but look at what's dependent on that receptor. Vitamin B6. B6 shimmies the receptor at a certain circadian rhythm to grab the hormone. Zinc. I'm going to read to you about zinc from Lindsay's book. Zinc is huge in my program, which I will share you the recipe at the end. Parsley, cilantro to detoxify what we talked about, the endocrine disruptors. And then I agree with Dr. Berkson on iodine. I know out there are practitioners that don't feel so warm and fuzzy about iodine. And let's be very clear, I'm not a doctor, but for 30 years, I have seen the positive benefits of iodine therapy at the proper dose. So if any of you have any questions and would love to have a discussion with you about it, because I'm very, very passionate about iodine therapy for so many areas. So what's in receptor detox? We're not going to go into the details a lot because of a time restraint, but look at calcium D-glucarate. Phase 2, glucuronidation, clear out the hormones. There's a little bit of niacin in there. There's your B6 for that receptor site to function better. But look at what we got. This is part of the component. A little bit of iodine, some zinc, some magnesium, selenium. Normalizes responsiveness and offers receptor protection. Look at this. Important in estrogen metabolism, regulation of sex hormone binding globulin. Everybody asks me about how to bring down sex hormone binding globulin. This product has been quite effective in that area. And then, what are we talking about? It makes things work better. Protects against buildup of endocrine disrupting halides at the receptor. So what's the overall component of receptor detox? Clear the competitive inhibitors off the receptors in a safe and continuous manner. Allow the hormones to bind effectively and appropriately to their associated receptor sites. So again, this is not just testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. This is insulin. This is thyroid. All hormones that need a receptor site. We are finding that these receptors are gummed up and don't work. Again, quality versus quantity. And then Lindsay did hormone balance and protect. So these two products are kind of my, after spending this amount of time with her and the products being in the market for a while and hearing responses from Dr. Lori up the road here and others in the valley of in Phoenix here, giving me subjective feedback, saying, gosh, Daniel, these are really nice. Dr. Berkson did hormone balance and protect. So as a practitioner, if you're doing bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, in my humble opinion, this should be part of the program. I look at what the demand for these are. People feel like junk. They don't have the mojo. They don't have the libido. People will spend money for that. I know what testosterone costs. You know, I know what the testing costs. So for a little bit extra to get that much more out of it, it should be part of the program. So hormone balance and protect performs complementary with natural hormones and hormonal therapy. So either way, you're on hormones or you're not, you're going to get a better response. Offers hormone protection while achieving balance. Optimizes bioavailability. So what we're seeing is, instead of the spike and the drop so fast, again, bringing it down just to testosterone, but it could be estrogen, progesterone, all of those, we're seeing a less of a peak and a little bit slower median curve, longer lasting as well. So what's in there? PABA. Let's take note right here. That's the next slide. But vitamin A, boron, P5P, B6 phosphate, zinc. Again, huge about zinc. We are a zinc depleted society. I gave a lunch and learn the other day and we talked about zinc. How many of you do the zinc tally test in your office? The zinc taste test with our aqueous zinc. It's zinc sulfate, clear liquid. Put a little shot. I can send that all out to you, the instructions to do that test. A very wonderful in-office functional test. Because if you put it in your mouth, the liquid, and you just taste water and you're saying, I don't taste any, you need zinc. Because zinc is very involved in taste and smell, as we know. As you build up your zinc levels, you will start to taste a metallic taste. It's a wonderful functional test to do. So these doctors are going to do that because they do a lot of hormone replacement therapy. They want to have better results. They ordered the aqueous zinc to put in every room in their office for their PA to do as part of the blood pressure, as part of the temperature, as part of the pulse, and now it's the zinc tally test. But here it is, PABA. Let's take our time with this slide because I feel this is really powerful. Potentiates or increases the action of cortisol, estrogens, testosterone, and DHEA. Extends the half-life of the hormone, which in turn has a balancing and protection impact. Hormone balance and protect. Keeps the hormone active for a longer period of time. A more level, what we talked about, not the spike and the drop. You know, if you're doing pellet therapy, you're doing injection therapy, you're doing creams, everybody has a different favorite delivery system. I'm not going to get into that or argue any of that. I'm familiar with pellets, familiar with the injections. Some people say, oh my gosh, I feel really, really wound up. And then I taper off before I need my next set of pellets. We're getting a not such a steep curve, as we've talked about, a longer lasting response. So more level hormone experience resulting in better compliance. We have all the cruciferous components in there to help metabolize, favorably modulates ER beta and ER alpha and ER beta receptors. You definitely want to modulate those receptors for estrogen. Protects against estrogen mimicking environmental toxins such as BPA. So we are using these. You're familiar with I3C or indole 3-carbinol and diindolylmethane. This is this component. We do not do a DIM, so we use these components in that area. So it's more than estrogen, like we talked about, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid, insulin, beneficial to multiple hormone receptors. I encourage you to try these. You know, I like to walk the walk as best as I can. They're in my, if you saw my kitchen and my supplement cabinet, I've seen some about you out there. I've seen your supplies too. It's very similar. But it is definitely part of my program now as I'm not getting younger. And you notice more balance. You definitely notice more balance. So I encourage you to try it. What's the general dosing? Receptor detox. There's a couple ways to do this. You can do 2 a day or 2 twice a day. And Lindsay likes to go, let's hit them up for the first jar 2 twice a day, and then work them down to maybe about 2 a day. The same thing with the hormone balance and protect. About 2 BID for the first jar. And then just take 2 a day and see how they do. Now we know we're all unique. You're the practitioner. Use your intuition with these clients and use the products that way. Dr. Berkson was telling me one of her customers who uses a lot of receptor detox has receptor detox weekends where they don't take the product during the week. They just take it on the weekends, but at a higher dose of like 4 twice a day. So 8 a day for 2 days. I don't know if you get patient compliancy there or not. That's up to you and your clientele. But I do know that you don't have to take a ton of it to get a feedback response. So again, promotes hormone balance by enhancing the bioavailability of hormone action on diverse cells. I really wanted to add this to the libido talk because, again, so many of you wonderful practitioners out there are doing hormone therapy. But I think sometimes you could get a better response from your patients. I hear these stories, well, they take it, but they're not doing so hot. There's so many layers to this onion, and we're covering maybe a couple layers of the onion in these 35 minutes. All right. I wanted to share with you, and let's talk the importance of testosterone, because I don't want you to think that this is just the male hormone component here we're going to discuss. When I came out of college and I worked for Dr. J. Allen Robertson, the osteopath, 30 years ago, when a woman would come into his office with fatigue, he would not just test them for thyroid, which was kind of the standard of care. He would test them for testosterone as well. And so they didn't have to go on, per se, testosterone therapy. You could do something like Be Vital. So Be Vital, think of it in the world for men and women. Okay? Provides naturally occurring precursors to naturally increase testosterone. Elk antler has been used in China for thousands of years to increase virility. And this has maca. Peruvian maca is an adaptogenic substance that will aid in optimizing androgen levels. Here is the dose. Consider 2 BID for 1 month and adjust or retest as needed. This could be your first line defense in some people that just need a little boost. They come to you and say, you ask them how their intimate life is with their partner, and they go, you could just add a little Be Vital because it works. It really works. So here's what Be Vital looks like. Natural testosterone augmentation. It's made with Peruvian maca and velvet from deer antler. Here's actually a small group study. This was done in men, a preliminary study of men with Be Vital. Ages 45 to 55 found that supplementation with Be Vital from Biotics Research for 30 days increased salivary testosterone in 100% of the subjects. Now, it's not like an injection cream or pellet testosterone. It's not going to raise your levels off the charts. It's going to go, wow, I feel a little something. And the adaptogenic effect of the maca. Tori Hudson did the work up in the Northwest. I read the study years ago about maca helping regulate pituitary hormone output, which we know about gonadotropin-releasing hormone to help with testosterone production. So look at those factors. Now we're going to get into the brain connection. I think this is the biggest component because, again, I know who's on my talk today and I know who signed up, and I appreciate all of you. You have the ability to put them on the hormones. All right. We shared a few things here to tweak it, I think, to make them even better. Your patients will be a lot happier with you, and they're going to refer you a lot of people because it's going to make you unique in your area. But we have to talk about what's going on up here. Why, as we've talked about many times, this gets in the way. This gets in the way. I'm going to share a couple silver bullet products with you that maybe you haven't thought of. And then there's one that I've talked about forever in just about every lecture, but we're going to go there again. Dopatropic. I'd be very curious how many of you think of dopatropic when it comes to libido and lack of libido. We have dopatropic powder from your cunniparines. We do it as a powder so you can titrate it. People say, well, why is it not in a capsule? Because I want to be able to titrate just to the right dose for each and every individual. So you're more decisive. We know about dopamine. Amplified motivation, less agitated, focused, high metabolic activity. Sounds like a wonderful product, right? Look at this. Dopa, potent aphrodisiac. I may have told this story before. I know I've shared it with others. When we first came out with Dopatropic, a dear friend, client, customer of ours, she was up in her years, and she wanted some mental clarity with dopamine. And you don't need a lot. We're talking a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, and you'll see the dose later on. But she goes to me, she calls me, says, Daniel, do you know the side effect of this product? She goes, my libido is through the roof. It can be that potent. 1 serving per day for high performance, meaning we talk about the mental function, can be used daily. Morning dose is best because what? What is dopamine? It's that pleasure hormone, right? We've used it in the area of ADD, ADHD, any addictive behavior, be it gambling to potato chips, is where you could apply this product as well. Let me share with you, I'm going to back up. Let me share with you a little bit about dopamine. There was a study, I'm reading from some sheets I had printed, observed that that dopamine has on, a study observed that the impact that dopamine had on gonadotropin releasing hormone production and thus testosterone production. Remember we talked about the pituitary? Adequate dopamine function is necessary for production of testosterone. We live in a high stress society. You look at what the pituitary is trying to do in men and in women, all those hormones, the master hormone regulator. Suffering from low libido, in addition to correcting testosterone imbalances, it is also important to see that low dopamine is a contributing factor. I encourage you, for those clients that just are being tough to regulate, they don't have the mojo. It's not all about intimacy, but it is about feeling the mojo. Lindsay Berkson, Sexy Brain, 75-year-old woman, says that's life. The essence of life is feeling that mojo. So think of dopamine for that. Then we were talking about zinc earlier. We have Z enzyme forte. 25 milligrams of zinc here. Conversation I had this week already. You know, they were talking about, honestly, well, Central. And I said, well, a milligram of zinc, there's no value there. There's no therapeutic response. You look at the literature, 20 to 25 milligrams of zinc gives you a therapeutic response. So when you're working with your clients and they say, well, why do I need so much? Because you're so depleted and we're looking for a therapeutic response. Look at this amazing study. This came from a doctor years ago in a lecture I was in, and he said I could share this slide. Zinc and sex hormones, zinc status and serum testosterone levels. Again, I want everybody to be aware that this is, you know, I know I'm talking testosterone a bit here, but this is really important for women too, okay? Because again, many moons ago when I came out of college, and I was working with that amazing, amazing mentor of mine, it took just a little bit of testosterone for these women to feel like new people. They found their energy. They found their clarity. They had less anxiety, better sleep. Zinc supplementation of marginally zinc deficient normal elderly men for 6 months resulted in an increase in serum testosterone. Signs of zinc deficiency, hair loss or thinning. Well, don't look here. Holy Toledo, that's not fair. Delayed wound healing. Changes in taste. Remember we talked about the zinc tally test and putting it in every room of your office for your MA, your PA, whoever to do, or you to do. Say, do you taste the zinc? You'll be surprised how many people don't taste the zinc. Even they say, well, I take zinc. Severe zinc deficiency may lead to shrinking of the testicles, constant infection. We know about its immune components there. Really cool stuff. Let me read for you from Lindsay's book on zinc. One of the biggest deficiency signs of zinc is when hormones are not working right. That whole list of hormones we've talked about, progesterone, estrogen, cortisol, thyroid. Without adequate zinc, you can have enough blood levels of sex hormones, but they might not get grabbed into that receptor site to deliver the email to the body what to do. Not enough zinc. Remember, we talked about quality, quantity. You got plenty of quantity, but you don't have quality. Not enough zinc to send the message. Estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone must have adequate zinc to deliver their signals. Endocrine disruptors can damage the zinc fingers that pull sex hormone messages into the genes. Is everybody going to get on zinc tonight? 25 milligrams of zinc. That's a powerful, quick page by Dr. Berkson right there. Again, the zinc tally test. But what do we talk about? The endocrine disruptors. Think of that receptor detox. Clean up the receptor sites. That's why I'm a huge fan also of a cleansing program. Clean the system out. Our exposure rate, come on, we all know about it. We've talked about that many times. And then, yes, I know my friends, many of you who've been here before, we're going to talk about lithium. L-isoine forte. Sympathetic, parasympathetic. Here we are. We're all in sympathetic drive. We're on these phones. We're driving in Phoenix traffic or wherever you are. We are in a sympathetic dominant society. Here it is right here. You've seen this chart before. Parasympathetic, female sexuality. Strong libido, aroused easily. Men, parasympathetic, strong libido, strong, easily achieved, and stable erections. That's not happening in sympathetic. So you can be doing all the hormone therapy in the world, but if we're wired and fired, things aren't happening. That's where lithium comes in. My dear friend, Dr. Forst, we've all talked about this before, for couples would use L-isoine forte at bedtime to bring up parasympathetic tone. All of a sudden, things happen. You're aroused easier. The erections are better. All of that's better. I remember talking to a group of about 50 naturopaths. And I segued into this topic because we were talking about pain in sympathetic, parasympathetic. But I talked about lithium and libido. And a doctor in the back of the room, maybe you've heard this before, raises her hand and she goes, "He's not lying." She said, men show up every month to her clinic for their lithium. And so do women, because it balances things out. It's that I'm not in the mood because I'm in sympathetic, too much on my mind, to, yeah, let's connect. And we know what that connection does on so many levels. Read the Sexy Brain book. You'll hear all about it. So what's the recipe for success? This is my personal recommendations. You could make this list super long, but this is where I'm seeing subjective response for people. L-isoine forte, 2 BID initially, so 2 twice a day, especially at bedtime. Zinc zyme forte, 25 milligrams, 1 at bedtime. All right, that's step 1. Step 2, I would look at dopotropic powder, 1/2 to 1 teaspoon in the morning. You're going to get this audio to refresh what we talked about and how it affects the body. And then Be Vital, we talked about it, 2 BID, then reduce. It's not just about testosterone with Be Vital. It's about mood. It's about interest. It's about arousal. And what we did not touch on today is nitro greens, our organic greens, which is a nitric oxide product. What is that little blue pill called Viagra? It's a nitric oxide product. You know where it was first introduced was in fetal heart conditions, because my neighbor a long, long time ago had a baby with a heart condition and the baby was on Viagra. So nitro greens, if you're doing a daily smoothie, would be a great component. But I think I have these listed in order of importance, I feel, from what I see in subjective response. But here's a product called Heartbeat. It's not our product, but I will send you the details of how to get the product. Dr. Jack Wolfson is a cardiologist in town here. I consider him a dear friend of mine. And it's organic beet powder, a potent nitric oxide producer. Okay. And he can get it to you at a great price. We make it for him. And why I want to tell you about this is because you see those, I wanted to talk nitric oxide, because you see those evening commercials for beet powder. Oh my God, get your nitric oxide, less pain, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Do you know how many batches of organic beets we reject just to make this product for him? Because they're moldy. Now, here's a silver bullet for you. You can irradiate or you can bleach the mold away from an organic product and still call it organic. We will not do that. So here's a clean organic beet powder. By the way, think who's buying that moldy product, not testing for it, or they are bleaching it or irradiating it and still calling it organic. So in the email follow-up, you will get all these details because you've got two potent nitric oxide producers right there. Nitro Greens from Biotics Research, organic heirloom greens. It's green, trust me. It's tasty. It's got a potent green taste, but if you mix it in something, you're great. All right, very alkalinizing. The sulforaphane's in there for hormonal balance. And then consider looking at the heartbeat that I will send you. All right. Are we up for the question already? We are. It's perfect timing. Raffle quiz. Oh, for those that are new, get to your chat box. Jacqueline's going to bring down the winners, okay? I'll give you a pad of paper, Jacqueline, so I can read them off, okay? All right. You all may got a preview. Chat box, you ready? First three to answer in the chat box get a bottle of Hormone Balance and Protect. What is the ingredient in Hormone Balance and Protect that extends the half-life of a hormone? Boron, P5P, or PABA? She's writing it down. You're going to be happy with Hormone Balance and Protect as a gift. You have your three. It's PABA, by the way, is the answer. I didn't tell Jacqueline the answer. She's too busy doing the technical stuff over there. Oh, she knew the answer because Jacqueline spent time with Lindsay the other weekend listening to Lindsay's lectures. Yeah, I want to be fair and announce the winners so everybody knows. Angela Winner, Anna Dyson, and Dr. Hooten. Wonderful. I will send those out to you. Each get a bottle. I look forward to your response, by the way. So here's my dealio with next month. We're getting into the holidays. And I wanted to make it your choice. I come up with all these topics and I'm like, what do they want to hear about? It's listener's choice month. I hope somebody sends me something. Text me or email me a topic you'd like, and I will pick one of those to talk about on November 30th. You can type it in the chat box while we're still here if you have an idea, or you all have my cell phone and you'll see it in the next slide, 602-690-9636. Say, Daniel, I'd like to hear about this. Or could you recap on a topic but expand upon it? Whatever you want. It's listener's choice. And it's, it's the week after Thanksgiving. We'll all be maybe familyed out or fooded out or something and just want to sit back and relax and catch 35 minutes of a topic that interests you. Again, I appreciate all of you. You have my email here, dbenning@bioticsresearch.com. And I will go to the chat box now to answer questions. But we're going to stop the recording and we'll do the questions then.